shoes are untied.
I don't know exactly what a Melvin is. I guess it's like a wedgie, but in the front. Do you squeeze his balls?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's a 90s thing.
Okay.
80s, 90s thing. There's a band called the Melvins.
There is, yeah.
And I don't know if that's associated with that. Like, this is a super dated reference.
Okay.
I think grabbing someone's balls and twisting them, instead of being laughably called a Melvin in the 80s, would now be a felonious hate crime.
Yeah, a sexual assault.
A sexual assault, and you'd end up in prison for the rest of your life nowadays. When in the 80s it was just, you gave me a Melvin. And
well, that's another one of the.
Now you get you get sent to the electric chair. So kids today don't know what that means.
Okay.
A noogie. When grabbing someone and doing this.
Yeah, that's still violent assault nowadays.
It's considered a felonious assault, punishable by up to 40 years in prison.
That's another one of the weird gay jokes in this movie. At the end, Death gives Denomalus a Melvin, and then Denomalus makes a little smile.
Denomalus has repressed homosexuality. That's why he's so angry.
Okay. So it's not a gay joke. It's just a backstory.
It's a backstory.
All
no
right.
pun intended.
I hope this works. Work in The Exorcist 1 and 3.
Okay, one of the best scenes is when they go to the police briefing and Ted possesses his father.
My son, Ted Theodore Logan, and his friend, Bill S. Preston, Esquire, have been murdered and replaced by evil robots from the future.
I don't know who that actor is.
His name is Hal Landon. He was in Eraserhead, of all things, David Lynch's first feature film. And then he showed up in the Netflix Pee Wee Herman movie that came out a few years ago. And I don't know if he's ever been in anything else.
But he does a great impression of Keanu Reeves doing an impression of a moronic Southern California teenager.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And then you got that other guy, character actor guy from Total Recall.
1 minute you'll be the savior of the rebel cause, and the next thing you know, you'll be Cohagen's bosom buddy. You'll even have fantasies about alien civilizations, as you requested, but in the end, back on Earth, you'll be lobotomized.
I totally believe you, dude.
Who does not do quite such a good job as Bill, but it's a fun
They gave him
scene.
less to do. They gave him less dialogue.
It's like all about these little set pieces. Like that scene's pointless, but it's fun.
Right.
Because you got these guys acting like Bill and Ted, the ghosts go in them, and then I guess Missy holds seances.
She said, it was like the 90s kind of new agey thing.
How's it going, New Age teens?
Well, that's funny too, is like they're clearly just green screen, just going, whoa! And it's the appropriate level of corny.
Yeah, and then Missy thinks they're evil spirits, so she casts them into hell.
Well, before they get to hell, this was the teaser trailer for the movie, that long scene where they're falling through this endless empty void, which might be my favorite scene in the movie.
That is funny, that is funny.
And that sums up Bill and Ted too, that scene, because obviously they're scared, they're yelling, and then after a while they get bored because it's just this endless pit. So they start playing like 20 questions, and they're making the best of it.
Dude, this is a totally deep hole. Yeah! Now what? I don't know.
But they fall into hell. They're on floating rocks.
It's very visual and cool.
Oh yeah,
Look at that compared to
giant-
like the first movie.
Yeah.
It's so drastically different.
Yeah, and I love that the hallway in hell, just this like rotting, rusting metallic hallway with all these doors of your own personal hell that you're trapped in.
And very low ceilings.
It's just short enough to make it annoying. It's just like production design wise.
Yeah.
It's like perfect. It's not, and it makes it comical. It still adds that little edge of comedy. because it kind of reminds me of like a Freddy Krueger. Like you have these like the Dutch angle moving camera back and forth, and it's like it's a little 90s, but it's a little like Freddy Krueger-ish, but in a way that low ceiling makes it funny, as opposed to being too scary.
Right.
And I don't know why. It was just a brilliant little decision to make that ceiling just short enough to where it's annoying. And then
Well, that's the whole sequence. Has my favorite line in the movie, which is, "Dude, hell sucks."
Dude, what? Hell sucks! Definitely! No!
and they go to their own personal hells. Ted's is something with a Easter bunny.
You stole Deacon's Easter basket. No way.
Bill's hell, much better.
That Easter bunny's great though.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
That's Kevin Yeager did all the effects for the movie, and it looks like he did a lot of the Chucky sequels. And you look at the face of that Easter bunny, and it just looks like Chucky.
Kevin Yeager, his father Chuck, is not proud.
It's an improvement, darling.
Bill's nightmare, or hell, eternal hell, is Grandma S. Preston Esquire.
Played by Alex Winter.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that's him, under heavy makeup.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
That's where you could really tell, because like the first movie, it was written by those two guys, and then it was made into a movie, and they cast it and everything. But you can tell with the second movie that Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves were kind of more involved creatively. And you can tell it was like a collaboration between the four of them, which is why I'm interested about the new one, because it's all of them together again. But Alex Winter, that's clearly like his idea to do something like that, because like he did his movie Freaked, where he's also got heavy prosthetics on, and it's a lot more of his sense of humor than the first movie is with stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they show like the close up of the granny, and she's got like whiskers
All
coming
the
out.
hair on her mouth. And
Yeah.
come here, give Granny a kiss. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's
And visually,
disgusting.
both of those sequences, the Easter Bunny one and that, are really creative too.
Yeah.
Like there's that everything's like bathed in
It's
blue with
Tim
Granny.
Burton-y. It's that Tim Burton-esque pastel kind of weird warped 90s looking.
Yeah,
It looks
distorted
like,
angles and-
the Edward Scissorhands. That,
Yeah.
That modernish 1950s weird artistic look.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Bogus.
Well, there's a cameo from our favorite friend, the Kurlan Neskar, as seen in hundreds of films.
I don't remember it, but I'm going to assume it's the part when evil Bill and Ted robots are destroying the apartment.
Hey, Evil Ted!
It happens in there like 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Those are fun little cutaways, the Bill and Ted evil robots.
Yeah.
They're fun because they act just like Bill and Ted, just mildly evil.
Aim for the cat, dude! Aim for the cat! I'm trying, Evil Ted! I'm trying! Ah, just missed!
They try to kill cats multiple times throughout the movie.
They're assholes. And I like that scene where they treat the princesses horribly.
Yeah.
And then they leave.
I don't understand what's come over you two.
Well, you see, we used to be pussweeds, but now we're metal. So get over here and put out!
They make Missy faint from evil death breath.
Catch you later, future wife. Whoa, evil breath!
Well, that was a post-production thing. They punched her out originally.
Oh.
Punched her across the face, which is why her reaction is like she looks like she's been punched.
Oh.
But they're like, that might be a little too harsh. Let's just add a sound effect or add a voiceover of you saying, "Oh, evil breath."
Whoa, evil breath!
Because he punches her and then I think he goes to blow her over.
Oh.
So they cut out the
interesting.
punch, left in the blow.
Did you assume that the most brilliant scientist in the entire universe would be from Earth?
Well, we didn't even mention the aliens.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
Since you might know more about this than me.
Okay.
Station is a alien that's dead. That's in heaven.
They go to heaven to find the most brilliant person in the universe, To help them make robots.
Yes, and you got your Albert Einstein there, and Benjamin Franklin's there, and but there's these two weird aliens that they're called Station, and they're aliens that are super smart that they want to. Death is going to help bring them back to Earth to build the robots.
Yeah.
So that the robots can punch the heads off the other robots.
That's like half of the movie is set up to defeat the evil robots, and all they do is punch their heads off.
Bill and Ted probably could have taken them out with a shotgun, maybe. But evil Bill and Ted earlier in the movie go like, Station.
Yeah.
Let's ditch the booth and start phase 2. Station.
What's that about?
Well, and the Faith No More guy at the beginning yells Station, too.
Station!
Well, it's sort of, I mean, the alien's name being Station is sort of an inside joke. Because the two guys that wrote the script, they had there's a couple scenes in the movie that take place at the police station, like when Ted's dad gets possessed. But there was apparently a scene that was written that they ended up deleting from the script, and they just copied the scene and deleted it. But the word station didn't get deleted, interior police station. And for some reason, they just thought it was funny that just the script was going on, and then it just said station, and then the script continued. So that's why the alien's name is Station. But why it's other people use it as some sort of form of expression, I don't know, other than they just think it sounds funny. It's the most inside joke that's ever been in a major motion picture. It makes no sense.
I officially like these guys. I get it.
Now it all makes sense.
Now it's all clear to me.
Okay.
It's as sloppy and loose as the movies themselves. I don't have to think.
There you go.
It's like, how do they fix that antenna with bubble gum? Who cares? Who cares?
Well, his name is Station, even though it's two aliens, because as we learn, he can combine into one big alien. Well, as we gear up towards the finale, the third act, it has the same problem that the first movie did, where the third act was kind of weak, so they reshot it.
Really?
The exact same problem, yeah.
What was the original third act?
Well, actually, a slightly different problem is that they were starting to go over budget, so they just started to rip stuff out of the third act of the script.
Oh, is that when we started to call it Bill and Ted's Omitted Journey?
I remember the day you did that. I remember the very day that you coined that phrase, Bill and Ted's Omitted Journey. Yeah,
we just get these pages that were blank.
Yeah, omit.
But when they're on their way to the Battle of the Bands, after the robots have been built, they get confronted in the middle of the street by the Hell visions. So the Easter Bunny, Granny, and Colonel Oates show back up. And there's this big car chase, but they're more heightened and exaggerated versions. Like the Easter Bunny is now 8 feet tall and has giant fangs, and they shot some of it, and then they were just what is this? We're over budget, we're running out of time, rip. So they cut all that out. But that was kind of a bigger part of the climax because they confront their fears is the whole thing. And so at the end, when they give their big inspirational speech where they're the best place to be is here, the best time to be is now, they go into that talking about confronting your fears. And so it was all informed by that scene.
We don't need character development.
We don't need any of that stuff. Well, where we were talking about them getting kind of loosey-goosey with the rules at the end of this one.
Yeah.
Denomalus shows up because they established in the first movie, we got to go back, once we're done with this, we got to go back in time and set things up.
After the report, we'll time travel back to 2 days ago, steal your dad's keys, and leave them here. That way, when we get here now, they'll be waiting for us. See?
So they do that a little bit, where Denomalus is I can do that too. I'm going to go back and set up another gun.
And another gun.
Then a gun just magically appears in his hand. It's that's not how this works.
I thought that was weird. It should have lowered in on strings.
Or it was hidden under a chair.
Yeah, pulls it out.
Yeah,
because it was set up that Bill and Ted set up his setups to trick him.
Right.
So how'd they make it appear?
It gets very convoluted. Like I said, the third act is a little sloppy, but everything leading up to it is great.
Yeah, and that's all right that it's a little sloppy, because it's Bill and Ted.
Yeah. It's not like the third act of, we keep going back to the Future, but yeah.
Yeah.
The third act of Back to the Future is sloppy, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Third act of Bill and Ted movie is sloppy, it's part of its charm.
They're silly comedies.
Yeah.
They're silly comedies about silly characters.
Or at the end you have two little alien creatures playing bongos. Because these movies are liked well enough, but it's not like they're not Back to the Future, you know, they're not Indiana Jones, they're not like huge. They're like the little movies that could.
They're a lesser film franchise. Child's Play. It's not quite Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. It's just your Child's Play.
Yeah. Still holds in there and keeps kicking.
Most people know what it is.
Yep.
But it's not your A-tier film franchise. So.
And we need those too.
After rewatching both of these movies, I'm very excited about Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I am, especially, I know they didn't plan it this way, but especially for it to come out like right now, a movie about two innocent, goofy, optimistic guys saving the world through positivity. I am very excited to watch that right now when the world's a fucking nightmare.
San Diego's High School Football Room!
Half in the bag.
I'm Bill S. Preston Esquire.
bag.
Peter Logan. And together, we are Wild Stallions!
Well, Mike, I'm done boarding up all the doors and windows.
What? What happened now?
Everything. Hey, what are you watching?
Oh, it's the new Bill and Ted movie. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
That's not the new movie. That's the embarrassing Bill and Ted TV series from 1992.
Oh, I was wondering why Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter look so different.
Here, I'll put on the new movie.
Oh, good.
Dude, yeah? The future. Yeah.
Oh my God! Why do Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter look so different?
Well, I mean, it has been 30 years since the last Bill and Ted movie.
What? No, it's been... Oh, I think my watch stopped working.
If it isn't the Wild Stallions.
Let's rock!
Bill and Ted Face the Music. They didn't totally f it up.
I'm sorry. What?
That's a hell of an intro, and that's probably an accurate statement. They didn't f it up.
They didn't totally f it up.
It's a Bill and Ted movie.
We talked about in our review, like, you kind of have to have lower expectations. This isn't a Star Wars movie or, you know, some big franchise.
Oh, you could take this movie if this were like a serious science fiction movie, like not even a full on like drama series, but like even up to the level of Back to the Future. Mm-hmm. You could pick this so full of holes.
That's all the Bill and Ted movies.
There is no kind of like internal logic for time travel,
yeah.
For the afterlife, for whatever the hell the problem Bill and Ted need to solve is, which I don't even understand that at all.
Yeah.
But Bill and Ted are goofaballs. They walk around. They're dumb.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like things that would be a detriment to other movies are just sort of a charm of the Bill and Ted movies. This movie, for the most part, has all the same like positive qualities as the other movies and the same negative qualities as the other movies.
Yeah.
It's another Bill and Ted movie. And that, you know, it's an okay movie, and that's sometimes okay is good enough.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Oh God, this feels so out of place right now. This is, I don't know if the message of everyone, let's all just get along, I don't think that flies in 2020.
It's, you know what, when they call movies escapism, this is the best example of that, because it was so nice to just watch a goofy movie about people saving the earth with positivity. For those 90 minutes, or for those hour and 20 minutes.
That shocked me too. I noticed the running time at some point. It was only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Standard, when we were young, standard fucking movie length. But now it's like 2 hours and 48 minutes.
I don't want to see a 2.5-hour Bill and Ted movie, and they know that.
I wonder if there's not just stuff that was cut out, though.
That's the one thing I noticed about the movie is a lot of it feels kind of rushed.
Yeah.
It feels rushed, and there's too many subplots. Like, once again, the princesses are completely worthless characters that don't do anything, but they get their own subplot this time for some reason.
It feels like a subplot that has been deleted.
Yes. Every once in a while they show up in the movie and you're like, oh yeah, they're doing something.
Oh, their older selves have kidnapped them for some reason.
Yeah. We won't get into spoilers yet, but there is kind of a revelation of what was happening at the end. It's just like one line of dialogue, just explain away what was happening. It feels so half-assed.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that's out just for me personally about this movie is Keanu Reeves has completely gotten over the hump for me. Here's my history with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, okay.
For like decades, Keanu Reeves was that dumb guy.
He was the whoa dude guy.
He was the whoa dude guy. I would see like Speed in the theater. I saw Speed in the theater. I'm like, I can't buy him as an action hero. He's that dumb guy. I saw The Matrix and I can't buy him as the chosen one. He's that dumb guy. And now here we finally are. We've had our John Wicks and our Constantines, and we've finally gotten to the point where I watch Bill and Ted Face the Music, and I'm like, why is Keanu Reeves playing this idiot?
See, I watched it and I was like, why isn't he that dumb guy? Because that's, overall, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
It's complete nonsense, which is fun. For a 90-minute movie, Bill and Ted, it's nice to see them back together. It was nice to see Alex Winter again, because he's not even an actor anymore.
He's probably the best one in the movie.
Well, that's what I wanted to mention. The unfortunate weakest part of the entire movie, of the Bill and Ted movie, is half of Bill and Ted. Keanu Reeves, I don't know what is going on with him. He looks like he's on like pain meds.
I'm sorry. What?
See, I just assumed, my assumption when I watched it was just that I had finally gotten used to action and drama star Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time buying him back in his old dumb role, but maybe I can't say he half-assed it, because it's not like he's hurting for money and he needed to do the Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah, no, and that's the nice thing about this movie is that it feels so not cynical. So you have the two writers who wrote all the other movies. You have Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves. And they all came back to make this movie. It was something they've been trying to get made for like 10 years, which is rare because so many movies now, it's like 80s nostalgia, dig it back up and make a new movie. But nobody wanted to make this movie. But it was like a passion project of theirs because they all just like each other and they like playing Bill and Ted. So now it took like 10 years to get made, and it's relatively low budget, which we could talk about some of the visuals in the film. But it feels like Keanu Reeves he's not that guy anymore. He's not the whoa dude guy anymore. You look at Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or like, do you remember the movie Parenthood?
That is one messed up little dude.
It's the same type of role. It's Keanu Reeves. It's whoa dude Keanu Reeves. And when you watch those movies, you're like, that's him. But he's not that guy anymore, and he hasn't been for a long time.
No, he's the cool dude now.
I'm not just talking about the roles he plays, but when you see him in interviews and stuff, he's so just like kind of stoic and zen-like and calm. And I feel like he's just so far removed from that he can't embrace his inner Ted anymore. I don't think it's in him physically, because he looks like he's struggling to smile the few times that he smiles in this movie, and it's very odd.
I should remove the dude part of that, because these days he is just cool.
Yeah. Well, he's the whoa guy because of The Matrix.
I think a lot of people see him as the John Wick guy now.
Now he's John Wick, and that's the other thing is like, nobody needed to make this movie. Like, Alex Winter isn't even an actor anymore. The writers have done other big things, and Keanu Reeves definitely doesn't need to do this because he's got John Wick money.
That's why I can't imagine he just phoned it in.
No, he didn't. I just think he's not that person anymore, and he can't channel that. And he has lots of lines in the movie where I'm picturing him from like the writer's standpoint, where when they were writing it, I can see them picturing Keanu Reeves as Ted saying that line and how he would say that line. But then the way he delivers a lot of those lines in the movie are so different than what you would think.
Party on, dudes!
Party on, dudes.
Like when they first get into the phone booth and they're about to travel through time, he says something like, it's similar to the line in the first movie. He's like, I think we're about to embark on a most excellent adventure.
Bill, my friend,
Yes, Ted, my friend. This has been a most excellent adventure.
And he's so like excited and optimistic about it. And this one, it sounds like it's a struggle for him to get the words out.
Bill, my friend. Yes, Ted, my friend. I have a feeling things are about to change in a most outstanding way.
And then you have, on the other hand, you have Alex Winter, who's carrying the movie on his fucking back. He looks like he's having a blast.
He hasn't missed a beat.
No, for someone that hasn't
yeah.
acted in like 20 years. Because he's a director now. He makes documentaries and shit. And I think he's done some like animated voiceover work.
Yeah.
But this is his first big acting thing, I think, since his movie Freaked.
See, I haven't been following him. That's the last thing I remember seeing him in, was Freaked.
Yeah, and then he kind of went behind the camera. But the whole dynamic, the Bill and Ted dynamic, is thrown off because you have Alex Winter acting, to be fair, like an older version, which is good, that they're not just trying to do their teenage woe dude stuff.
Mhm.
They feel like older versions of those characters. Alex Winter does, but Keanu Reeves is like, he can't quite get there.
How's it going, dude?
Hey, dude.
I think maybe if they'd played that up, like the character himself is older now, and Ted is having a hard time being that younger version of himself, but he knows he has to make the song, but he's lost the mojo.
Yeah.
Like, they could have done something like that.
They kind of do. There's a couple moments, like early on, they're in the garage and he tells Bill that he's thinking about selling his guitar. And it's like moments like that kind of work. Because when we talked about, there's outtakes from our Bill and Ted review that are on our Patreon.
Ooh.
Because we have Patreon. And we talk about that. We talk about like how you can't just have them. We compared it to like the Dumb and Dumber sequel. Well, you know, the first one came out in the 90s. There's a Dumb and Dumber sequel a couple years ago. And it's not only unfunny, it's creepy. When you have these people that were acting like imbeciles in their 30s, but now they're like 60 and they act exactly the same. They live in the same place. They're wearing the same clothes. It's not funny. It's pathetic.
As a counterpoint, though, I'm going to throw out Ash from Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Well, he's devolved. He starts in the first Evil Dead movie. He's like just a normal college guy, and then he gets dumber and more abrasive as the series goes. He has like the opposite of an arc. So that's for comedic purposes, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's you know, I do like that they are older in this. They don't try and just act like, oh, they're still just Bill and Ted, and that's the stuff that worked. Okay, they acknowledge that they're older. They introduced the daughters, who I liked a lot, who are just little Bill and Teds, and they kind of give the movie that kind of youthful energy of the original movies.
Yeah. Who are themselves, they're just doing a Bill and Ted impression, the daughters.
They're doing pretty damn good ones, though, especially Ted's daughter. That actress, I know Bill's daughter is Samara Weaving, who's, I don't know if you saw Ready or Not, that came out last year.
No,
She's good in that. She's been good in everything I've seen her in.
I'm familiar with the other one, who's a character in Netflix's Atypical. It's the dramedy.
Yeah,
she's great in that.
Okay, see, she's the one I wasn't familiar with. So watching this movie, I had no idea who she was.
Yeah.
And it's like she's like the reincarnation of young Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves isn't even dead, but somehow he's been reincarnated because she is like pitch perfect.
Yeah.
And that idea too of having, because there's a lot of ways you could go with it, where it's like, oh, they have daughters and their daughters are embarrassed by them, and they don't do that. They're just little Bill and Teds, and that's like perfect for the vibe of these movies.
Oh, the cutest thing in the world is that they refer to Bill and Ted, both of them, as dads.
Yeah, this movie perfectly captures that same kind of energy of the other movies.
Yeah. If I'll criticize anything with the daughters, they should have done something just more with them story-wise as it relates to Bill and Ted. Like some kind of arc you can make out of that, like some kind of disconnect, or Bill and Ted are worried about their daughters for this, just some emotional thing that ties up at the end. Because I'm thinking Bill and Ted, they go to the marriage counselor with the princesses.
Yeah.
And Bill and Ted's quest is kind of related to, oh no, we're going to lose our wives.
Yes.
And then the princesses leave the movie. I think the thing that sent them on their journey, it shouldn't have been we're going to lose our wives. It should have been, we're having trouble connecting with our daughters or something. Just so that relationship between them is just more focused on in the movie.
Maybe. I guess it depends on what they did with it. I kind of like that they all are just supportive of each other and love each other, and there's no drama. Because when we talked about the first two movies, that's a big thing with them, is we talk about how, like, especially in the first movie, all those typical elements you would put in like a teen comedy just aren't there. All the stock, like they don't get picked on at school. None of that's there. And that's what kind of makes them special as characters. And so I kind of like that bleeds over into the daughters, where it's just they're not, oh, we got to make sure our daughters turn out better than us. Like we gotta push them to go to college or something like that.
Right,
It's like no. Their daughters love music, and they are supportive of their daughter's love of music against like Ted's dad's wishes or his opinion of them. He's like, your daughters are going to turn out to be as big of losers as you.
Yeah,
so it's like they're all in it together as like a group.
It's wholesome, and that's pleasant in this day and age. Is what you're getting at?
Yes, I mean that's this whole fucking movie.
How you doing?
Well, we're dead, and we're in hell.
But how you doing?
We're good.
I was wondering how they were going to retcon the ending of Bogus Journey, and I was surprised that for the most part they didn't.
No, and I remember, I think it's on the commentary track for Bogus Journey, they talk about that, because there's all those like magazine covers and newspaper headlines, and that was not the writers, that was like in post-production, like whoever did the end titles just added those because they thought it'd be cute and funny.
Oh.
And they were like, this completely fucks up our ideas for the third movie, so we got to figure out how to work this in.
Okay.
So they did what they had to do, and it works fairly well.
Yeah.
And especially with the idea of like Bill and Ted, in the first movie, they're like 80s hair metal guys. And there's so many of those type of acts that were like huge, playing arenas in the 80s, and now they're like playing, county fairs.
Yeah.
So that rise and quick fall completely works without it getting too, dour.
Yeah.
Just the right amount of melancholy at the beginning of the movie.
Well, they're also not in like a completely miserable place in their lives when the movie starts either. Like you can go the once again Ash versus Evil Dead. He's living in a trailer route,
Yes.
but no, they got nice homes
Right next to each other.
right next to each other.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're hurting.
Because they're like constantly, the whole idea that's in the trailers that you see in the movie is that they haven't written the song that unites the world yet. And it's like, what do you do if that's your destiny and you're middle-aged now and it still hasn't happened? So they're performing at the wedding and they're doing this like bizarre experimental song with this really pretentious title. They're just like trying anything.
Well, they're utterly desperate.
Yes.
They have been crushed under the weight of expectations that nobody should ever have.
Yeah.
Nobody should ever have somebody walk into their room and just say, "You're gonna save the universe someday. Figure it out."
Yeah. And now you still haven't done it. That song, by the way, though, I think that song, it's kind of good. It's all over the place because they're trying all these different instruments, which is funny, but you can't do the joke that they're bad musicians anymore because they're not. So it's like, oh, what do? They try anything. It reminded me of, and maybe it was influenced by, do you know anything about Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys?
No.
In the 60s, he had like a complete mental breakdown and was obsessed with writing like the perfect album. And so he would just like lock himself in a recording studio and try all these different, he'd bring in all these different musicians and try all these different weird sounds as like not instruments, but he would try and use like dogs barking and like Coke cans and just all this crazy shit.
Hyper experimental.
Yeah, he got really experimental because he was just trying to write like the perfect song. So I don't know if this was influenced by that, but it reminded me of it. It feels like it's probably.
And that's how we got Jingle Cats.
I'm sorry. What?
But the universe they were told they were gonna bring together was actually starting to unravel. Yeah, time was folding in on itself.
When is time going on the fritz? Because it seems to be happening every when at once. It's very weird. The crisis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the idea that all space and time are connected. I don't know.
and we're all connected because music.
Yeah, something. And the phone booth can also travel to parallel dimensions, I guess.
I don't think it does.
That's what the princesses do.
Oh, they went to it. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they go to alternate realities to find the one where they can be happy with Bill and Ted.
I forgot they were going to different realities because we never follow them on their adventure.
We never see that. I don't know if that's something that was like, because the movie does feel overstuffed for the short runtime that it has. So I don't know if there was more that got cut because of budget reasons or what.
I have to assume there was a whole subplot. And then they were looking at their budget and they're thinking, well, it's the princesses.
It's almost comical at this point. 3 movies in, it's almost comical how useless the princess characters are. They have the funny scene early on when they're doing couples therapy as a couple.
Yeah.
And there's some funny bits in that. And then, like, that's all you need for the movie. Establish their relationship is on the rocks because they haven't, fulfilled their destiny or whatever, and then get them out of the movie. One of my first big laugh out loud moments was an unintentional laugh. Early on, they performed their song at the wedding, and then Ted's dad is like bitching him out, where he's like, "You didn't travel through time, you didn't go to heaven and hell, blah, blah, blah."
Bill, Ted, enough of the delusions. You didn't time travel, and you didn't go to heaven and hell.
He's like, "Your daughters are turning out to be big losers too. The only ones in your family that are responsible," or no, he says, because then the princesses walk up, and he's like, "Joanna, Elizabeth, how do you feel to be the only ones responsible in your entire family?"
How do you feel about being the only adults in your families, the only ones with actual jobs? Let's pack up.
And then they don't even answer, and he turns around and walks away. And then they just don't say anything. I was like, that epitomizes the princess characters. They're completely fucking useless and don't contribute anything.
The movie is a little bit of a mess when it comes to just like the overall what were they trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, I think that they're just trying to cram too much stuff in.
Yeah.
Because you have the main plot of them traveling through time to try and find the song. You have the daughter's subplot, which is like a mini reboot of the first movie.
Complete reboot of the first
where
movie.
they're finding historical. This time they're finding historical famous musicians, which is some fun stuff. But it is basically a remake of the first movie. And then you have the princess's storyline, and then we have. Well, it's kind of in there. They show up every once in a while just for Bill and Ted to say, "Go away again."
But I mean, just the concept of the Bill and Ted versus themselves, which is kind of their problem. They're fighting themselves because they don't know how to make the song. They kind of are their own enemy, and it's both internal and because of time travel, also external. They are their own enemies.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
That's your concept.
Yeah,
and that's enough for a movie. But I think they didn't want it to just be another Bill and Ted adventure. Kind of spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Which would be worse if the other subplots were terrible, but they aren't. Like I said, I like the daughters; they're fun. The part when Jimi Hendrix is jamming out to Mozart is fun.
I like the daughters. I thought their subplot. I like the daughters, but I just thought their subplot was a little weak.
Dude, our dads are totally in trouble. You should help them out.
Because it was just a complete rehash of the first Bill and Ted movie.
It was.
We're gonna kidnap these historical figures.
No.
Okay.
The guy playing Louis Armstrong was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
He didn't have enough to do, but he was just that right level of, he's like Louis Armstrong, but they cranked it up just enough to be kind of funny. But then the other subplots, we have Rufus's daughter, played by Kristen Schaal, which is weird. I know George Carlin was a comedy person, but he plays his role in those movies pretty straight.
Yeah.
So it's weird to have like a goofy comedy person playing his daughter. But I did like her character's name is Kelly, which is George Carlin's real daughter's name.
I was wondering if they didn't just get his real daughter at first when I first started watching, because I don't know what she looks like.
Yeah, no, but yeah, her name in real life is Kelly. So I was like, oh, that's a nice little tribute to George Carlin, the late, great George Carlin. But we also meet her mom, who is now the great leader in the future. And she decides that maybe they need to kill Bill and Ted instead of let him write a song?
See, okay, this is where it gets into the territory where if you worry about the details and you try to break it down, it completely falls apart.
Sure.
Because everything happened in the past, and they seem to have been really familiar with Bill and Ted in the previous movies. Shouldn't they know exactly what happened?
In this movie, they kind of retcon it, where it's like, Rufus kept saying this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's fine because it's Bill and Ted, but it's a weird subplot in a movie that's already filled with subplots, and it seems to only be there as an excuse to bring in this robot character.
Didn't work for me, the robot character. I got what the joke was.
Well, the joke is he serves the exact same function as the Grim Reaper in Part 2. Starts as an imposing figure that wants to take them to the afterlife, and then gets increasingly more and more silly.
How are we gonna find them, dude?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I don't even know, dude.
I didn't know who that guy was. I looked him up. He's on the show Barry, the HBO series Barry, which I haven't watched. But he's funny. His performance is funny, but it does feel like reheated leftovers from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Also, I want to know, because Bill and Ted, I guess we're full-on spoilers
Sure.
now. They keep traveling further and further forward in time, trying to get the song from their older selves. And eventually they're like 37 years in the future, and they die. But their daughters died 37 years ago. Have their daughters been in hell 37 years? Because when they meet the daughters in hell, the daughters are acting like they just got there.
That's true. It's all connected, Rich. Space and time are all connected.
Is it just because space and time is breaking down?
It's because space and time is breaking down, Rich.
Okay.
Well, another question is, why do they go to hell? What'd they ever do? Hell is used as more of like a plot convenience than anything else in this, where it's like, it's a place where all of our characters can meet up. Bill and Ted can reunite with Death, and then Death can bring them all back together, up to Earth at the same time in the same place. Which that was actually another big laugh out of me, was when they're in hell and they're about to leave, it cuts to, because earlier we see the robot kill Ted's dad. He vaporizes him with his laser, so his dad's in hell. But then for absolutely no reason, his SWAT van is also in hell because it also got vaporized.
It got vaporized.
That's the kind of like complete nonsense that I wish the movie leaned into more.
The funny part to me was in hell, apparently the souls that die and go to hell, they're just falling into hell constantly.
I like that too, yeah.
And on their way out, the police van just keeps hitting damn souls that are on their way to hell.
Yeah, you hear them like, when they're in the van, you hear them like smacking on the side of it. I don't know if I know that the movie, like a lot of the post-production took place after kind of the COVID lockdown stuff started to happen. So a lot of it was done remotely. I did notice some weird editing, awkward editing. Like the part when they go to the future, I think it's like 5 years in the future when they're in the mansion, and they're like the foppish British versions of themselves, which was fun to see Keanu Reeves try and fail again to do a British accent. He pulled that out from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Didn't work then, it doesn't work now.
I've seen many strange things already. Bloody wolves chasing me through some blue inferno.
Oh God, I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, everybody forgets he was in that. But there's some really weird, like and this happens sometimes in movies, if there's a super wide shot and someone's talking, you might notice, since they're so small, it's hard to notice, but like their mouth doesn't match what they're saying.
Yeah.
But this is just like a standard two-shot.
So unlike those sad open mic blokes from 3 years ago.
We are now finally able to muster some compassion.
And then later in that scene, they're sitting across from each other at that table. The future Bill and Ted, like, towards the end of the shot, he starts to talk, but his dialogue isn't there. And then it cuts to the reverse of contemporary Bill and Ted, and they start talking.
Honestly, I wouldn't have thought we had it in us.
So it's like they just used a take where he started talking, but they didn't use his audio. It was really weird. It was really clunky.
Jay, I've seen Ryan's Babe. It can get a lot worse.
That's true.
I'll have another one, Jim. No more today, Bill. Please escort this gentleman to the door.
It needs to be about 20% cooler.
Well, speaking of the low budgets, and this isn't necessarily something related to a low budget, but specifically in this case, I noticed it. They travel to the future, and I hate in movies when they clearly shot their actors completely in front of a green screen, and the entire background is like a digital background.
Yeah.
A digital set. And in this movie, they go to the future, and this happens, I noticed this in like Marvel movies too, where their digital set, their set is like an arena-sized location with nothing in it. It's just this barren place that always drives me nuts.
Epic?
But it's not epic. It's boring.
Somebody thinks it's epic?
In this movie, you can chalk it up to the low budget, and they didn't have time to add lots of details and stuff. But it's like they travel to the future, they're walking down this fucking 20-mile-long bridge that has nothing on it on either side. But the phone booth, the original movie phone booth, is there, right in the center of the bridge. It's like a display, because then we have like a hologram Rufus come out and be like, "This is the phone booth that I used to find the great ones." And it's like I'm picturing this on like a real set where you have like a hallway with all these different historical artifacts. It's like, okay, that makes sense. But it's just this gigantic empty hallway that leads to a gigantic empty room.
Because even if you're just doing a set that's entirely 3D, it still costs money to have somebody in 3D design all of these different artifacts that are supposed to be in some kind of complicated setting rather than just, it's a big bridge.
Yeah. I miss cool production design. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, hell looks cool in that movie. Here, hell is boring.
On one hand, technically better, but yes, less interesting.
Yeah, less interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
You see like one cave that kind of looks like a face, I think, and that's like it.
There's some demons flying around and there's some hot rocks.
Yeah.
But they're well-rendered hot rocks. At times when I was watching this, I got a distinct vibe of TV movie.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, because coronavirus has been going on for a while now, and they've probably known that this wasn't going to end up in theaters for a while now. So I wonder if at some point, after the call was made that this is going straight to streaming, if they didn't just, we don't need special effects that fancy.
I think the movie was mostly done before the decision was made to make it direct to streaming.
The effects and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was almost completely done. But I'm sure, I mean, it's all about money. I'm sure they were wagering. They were all looking at the numbers, like, what do we stand to gain if we hold this movie off and release it when theaters reopen? It's probably not going to do very well anyway, so we'll put it on streaming.
Well, plus the risk you run in like a year from now is we're going to have all of next year's movies and all of this year's movies all coming out at once.
Yes.
So they're probably also afraid of just competition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all, I mean, that's like, Christopher Nolan can tell the studio, no, my movie is going to wait for theaters, because he has that power, and he's a big, his movies are all, it's about the epic of seeing it in the theater, the epicness of seeing it on the big screen. This movie, you don't really need to see it on the big screen.
I'm sorry. What?
You know this movie needed? Some kind of epilogue.
Yes, well, that's what I wanted to mention. I guess we're well into spoilers now.
Yeah.
This movie just fucking ends.
Because the eternal logic of the problem and everything breaks down so easily, they probably didn't understand what was happening in the movie well enough to write an aftermath.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's, like, this is presumably the last time we will see a Bill and Ted movie. I would guess. I mean, especially now that it's releasing it is in some theaters, but it's still mostly VOD. It's probably not going to make a lot of money. If it was just released in a normal year, a theatrical year, it probably still wouldn't make a lot of money, because comedies just don't do well.
Yeah.
And this is a weird movie that probably would not make a lot of money anyway. But, so this is presumably the last time we'll see them. You do need some kind of epilogue with Bill and Ted. There's, I don't know if you stayed till after the credits, there's a post-credit scene with them as elderly Bill and Ted. Even if that was the last scene of the movie, I would be okay with that.
You needed to see Bill and Ted and their daughters, Bill and Ted, on stage performing at some kind of higher venue concert or something.
No, you gotta go small, because that ending is a big concert.
Yeah.
That's the epic conclusion. So then you have something more personal, like, maybe they're all hanging out in the garage or something, which they're in the garage at the beginning of the movie, they're in the garage at the beginning of Excellent Adventure, so it goes full circle, something like that.
Yeah.
Them just all the family hanging out, them realizing how much they appreciate their family, something cute and heartwarming that wraps up Bill and Ted.
There's no wrap-up, Jay.
There's no wrap-up. They're just like, we're done, we're out.
Because they were planning endless sequels with the daughters, Jay. I don't know that ever would have happened even without coronavirus, but I think there was a thought somewhere. Well, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them in this movie. I don't know if I would like a whole movie about them. I just don't think it would work. Them as like an extension of Bill and Ted is funny, that they're exactly the same as them. But them in their own movie, it would just feel like a cheap knockoff of Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Creatively, I think it was a wise decision to make them daughters, because obviously at the end of Bogus Journey, they're like, this is little Ted, this is little Bill. They cover that up with like one line of dialogue in this, or it's like, that was their cute nickname.
I actually think it was a little bit smart, because if it was just teenage boys who were just like Bill and Ted, that would have been too much like Bill and Ted.
Yes, that's what I say. Like, creatively, that was the wise decision. It works for this movie. And then also you have like Rufus's daughter, so there's this whole father-daughter thing going on. I did think it was weird at the very end when they save the world with their music, and it cuts back to the future, and we see Rufus's wife, the great leader.
Your father would be so proud of you.
Where she's like, your father would have been proud. It's like, she should get some comeuppance for fucking killing all these people. What is this?
Did not get an apology for trying to murder Bill and Ted.
Not trying, she did. Murdered Bill and Ted, murdered their daughters.
That's true.
Murdered Louis Armstrong and Jimi Hendrix. She murdered over a dozen people.
Why did the time disruptions disproportionately affect Babe Ruth? Babe Ruth and George Washington keep popping into different places, more so than other people.
Because then you don't have to hire more actors because you're on a low budget.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's just George Washington keeps showing up.
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
So we've talked about how this movie is a sloppy mess, but it's still kind of fun.
Yeah, because when you go to Bill and Ted, you go to see Bill and Ted be goofballs.
Yes.
And you're not going for an intricately laid out plot that makes sense. It'd be nice if it did.
It'd be nice if it did.
It'd be nice if it did.
Yeah.
But Bogus Journey is still the best Bill and Ted movie.
Yes, yes.
I rewatched all of them like in a row because of this. And
Well, I know you did because we did our review on
That's true because
Yeah.
I am Mike. And that movie's so fucking good. A lot. I rewatching them all. I was kind of surprised how much. I always knew Bogus Journey was my favorite. Kind of surprised me how much more I like Bogus Journey than Excellent Adventure.
Well, there's a lot of craft put into it as far as the filmmaking goes, and the ideas are just so creative.
Yeah.
And this movie, it's a little weirder than Excellent Adventure, but it still feels like a watered down Bogus Journey.
Bogus Journey was smart enough to realize that like it's not a time travel series.
Yeah.
It's a series about these two dumb but good-natured guys who go on fantastical adventures.
Adventures that these type of characters should not be going on.
Yeah.
Because these are goofy side characters in a typical teen movie.
And then when they got to face the music, it was like, well, geez, did we make a time travel movie or a supernatural afterlife movie? We'll just do both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an amalgam of the first two movies.
I was expecting, like hearing about this movie and watching the trailers, what I expected is that the twists would be they're not time traveling. Bill and Ted are going to alternate universes.
That's what I thought it was going to be too. When you see them in prison and stuff.
Where they run into we kind of got that, but it's not really alternate versions. It's just their future selves keep degrading.
Right.
But I expected them to be running around with 5 different copies of Bill and Ted all together.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird movie. It feels like a lot of it is hampered by the low budget and also too many subplots.
It's fine. I think it probably could have been better, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a Bill and Ted send-off, even though it really doesn't have a proper Bill and Ted send-off because we needed to cut back to them at the end in the aftermath.
Yes.
It's fine.
We needed an epilogue scene and we didn't get it.
Yeah.
So now it just stops. It's like the ending of American Werewolf in London. We're just done. We're out.
Look, American Werewolf in London just needed one scene. That's all that movie needed, the transformation scene. Ooh, that's a cool scene, and everyone's gonna remember American Werewolf in London forever. That's all that movie needed.
See, that's what you could do with this movie. Because the thing that makes Bogus Journey so great is that it's a sequel to a time travel movie that isn't about time travel. They go in a completely different direction. And this movie needed to go in another different direction.
Yes.
And so Bill and Ted as werewolves.
Oh, God.
That's what you need. Something completely out of left field. That's what you need to do. Bill and Ted 4. Let's just make it ourselves.
We have to wait until coronavirus is over.
Oh.
Ow. It's not over yet.
Do you hear that cricket?
Yeah, I do. Does that mean our joke didn't land?
I've been hearing it for this entire discussion, so I think it means that none of our jokes landed.
Oh, no. Well, Jay, now that we're done talking about Bill and Ted Face the Music, what do you want to do now? I think we're going to be stuck in this VCR repair shop for a long time. Because of coronavirus!
I don't know. If we got nothing but time, you want to just watch Bill and Ted Face the Music again?
Sure, why not?
How's it going, dude? Things have definitely been better. We totally can't rehearse. And our Wild Stallions banner has been most unceremoniously reduced.
No way.
Yes way. We're completely stumped, Rufus. Totally at odds with this dilemma.
Excellent. Party on.
Mike, this is the embarrassing failed Bill and Ted TV series from 1992 again.
Does it matter?
Oh, Mike, nothing matters anymore.
Morning, Butterfly. You might want to get a move on. I was doing some maintenance on Carl's mainframe hub, and I heard her speaking to Pastel about you being late again. They're on their way down now, and they don't seem too happy, so you might want to. Butterfly, is that?
The final recording of Pink Pippin, loaded onto my Pipbook for my listening pleasure.
Oh, no. You can't do that. You can't beat yourself up about the stable. It's just the way things are. You just have to try to keep going. Oh, fuck, Celeste. Okay, let's just get you up to your hub. Come on, up you get, Butterfly.
Spare, you're a maintenance worker. How do you know about Stable 81?
It's terminal update. The overmare sent it to every pony in the stable.
What? She told every pony?
Calm down, Butterfly. It's okay. The overmare's message said it's just standard procedure, and that since this hasn't happened in about, 60 years, she wanted every pony to be, I'm thinking of the wrong word. Accommodating, with regards to...
Oh, so not only does every pony know that I basically committed genocide, but they've been ordered to dance around me like I'm made of glass?
Butterfly, you aren't guilty of any genocide. You're just tired from not sleeping. You did what you had to do. You did what you were told. We all know the penalty of breaking the rules around here. Every pony knows you aren't in the wrong.
That's some major bullshit.
All right, fine. If you don't want ponies to dance around you, then so be it. Butterfly Stitch, get your ass out of bed right now before I kick it out myself. Stop moping about and do your job before the she-witch that calls herself your boss makes your life a living hell.
Huh. You know what, Spare?
Friends, ponies, stable dwellers, lend me your ears because, as usual, I need to give you your daily dose. Ooh, sorry. Poor choice of words in light of, Here's that song? I really like the one that, I'll just let you get back to work.
All right, Spare. I'll get back to work.
Oi! Take an easy day in analysis. Request that the counselor give you a few days of sick leave. If you're having trouble, being alone right now, well, you know where my room is. There's a comfortable couch you can sleep on.
Isn't it loud down in maintenance by the power generator?
I like it. Helps me sleep, keeps me calm.
Maybe that's what I need then. Something to keep me calm.
I hope you find it, Butterfly. I really do.
Thanks, Spare. I can't listen to this song right now.
See you around, Butterfly.
What? Where's the gas coming for us? Where's the gas coming from? Mom, Dad, me too. Mom, Dad. Good morning, analyst. I trust you are prepared for the day.
I'm here, aren't I? What's today's assignment?
Stable 28 has been highlighted as a stable of interest.
You mind telling me what the experiment of this Actually, never mind. It could be a surprise.
As before, you must review the earlier logs as highlighted by previous analysts.
All right. 5, 3, 7. Let's begin.
The princesses are dead.
There's a rumor in the stable. One of the guards said he saw when the bombs fell.
Masters of our own fate. That's what some asshole in the bar tried to tell me this morning. Tried preaching it to the whole crowd. Disrespectful little prick! We'd gone there to give our respects to the princesses. There we all were, most of the stable packed into one small space, breathing onto each other and pressed all up like There wasn't enough space for everyone. So the rest who wanted to come were all standing in the hallway, standing on the tips of their toes to get a view of the bar, and the rest of us, This guy stands up, interrupts our moment of silence, and tries to preach some zebra shit about us being masters of our own fate. That this was a good thing. Still got some of his blood on my hoof. I mean, fuck that guy.
Finally, we've been able to restore order within the stable. It's been a rough few months. Stable tech warned me about that. They told me that ponies would be scared, that they'd be confused. Our security forces have performed admirably in keeping the peace.
I've had a hell of a week. The kind where 5 months buried underground in a steel box with a few hundred other ponies all out of their minds with worry. The Overmare likes to credit us with keeping the peace, but the real hero is Leafy. She's one of the gardeners that minds the Staples orchard. Don't know how she did it, but she's growing tobacco in secret and none of the guards want to arrest her for it, because, well, we all need a smoke these days. Anyway, my week of, I don't know how to describe it. Stressful? Nah, that doesn't even come close. I was guarding the stable door with Feather and Sky. Must have been 2 days ago? And it's late. We're all tired and on our last cigarette, so we're passing it between the three of us, trying to ignore the air as best we can. It ain't cold in there, but it ain't hot either. They regulate the airflow here with some unicorn magic or some shit. Man, I don't even know, but I fucking hate it. You can't feel the air against you down here. It's like you're trapped in this state of purgatory. That's pretty much like everything down here. Anyway, so we're at the door. We're tired and trying to ignore the fact that we're still stuck down there. When we hear this voice on the intercom. It's the overmare, and she's asking for every pony to come down to the stable door. She says she's got a call from Stable Tech, that the radiation died down. We get to leave. I swear, I've never heard ponies move so fast in my life. It was like they were running from the apocalypse all over again. Like they had balefire at their tails and all. They came swarming and shoving their way down. Goddess, we're just so damn sick of this stable. Sick of the grey and the same food. So we're all crowded around the stable door. No one's got their bags with them. Nah, they want to get to the fresh air first, come back for their stuff later. And I'm standing right there with them. I've never been so excited to feel cold in my life. I didn't care if it was snowing, or if it was sun, or if the sun was hidden by a... I just wanted to feel the air again. The overmare comes down to the stable door and she makes some bullshit speech about standing together, about the unity of some such nonsense to which none of us paid a half lick of attention. We just wanted that door open. After all of this waiting, we just wanted the door to be open, which is why... They're just fucking with us! Damn it, they're just fucking with us!
This log has been dedicated Priority 1. Every overmare of Stable 28 must listen to my words. We're stuck in here for the long haul, it appears. When we tried to open the stable door, my password was rejected. Instead, we were greeted with a female voice. It sounded as though it were a machine, which told us that the door would open only for the chosen soul, the one who brings happiness to all by herself. The chosen soul cannot know her identity, for she will be given to arrogance and evil. Our mechanics have searched through the stable's maintenance levels, scoured it for an alternative release mechanism, but there's been no luck. It seems we must play Stable Tech's game, so the priority of every overmare is to ensure that the stable opens, no matter the cost.
All right, hold up. So that's dated within the first year after the door's sealed, right?
Indeed.
Can you take us to the present day? A log that was made yesterday, maybe?
Do you believe you have enough of an understanding of the...
Yeah, you sealed the stable door and told them to look for a chosen one. Obviously, they haven't found it yet, or you wouldn't have me monitoring the stable. I'm also assuming that the bloke who spread the rumor about the princesses was on the Stable Tech payroll.
That would be an accurate assessment, yes.
So you take away their hope for a few months, grind it to dust, and then give them a new god to worship.
A fascinating experiment indeed.
The scenario of Stable 81 was to breed ponies who were wired to see a situation purely through logic. Here, you've given them the blueprints to create a religion-dominated society. The only escape from the misery of their lives is the chosen one you've made up.
The war between ponies and zebras was heavily escalated when Princess Selena took the throne. In part, this was due to the zebra's fear of the stars, and ponies would do anything for their princesses.
That must have been an interesting stable to pitch to the bosses.
I would not know.
All right, take us to a log from yesterday.
For a stable where no pony feels cold, Stable 28 sure has some cold-hearted ponies. But they don't always mean to be cold. It's just something in the air, I guess. Something about this stable that turns good folks bad. But cold hearts are good for a pony like me. For two reasons. Two reasons I can never forget. The first reason is that the cold hearts will always go to warm themselves up at the bar. If you need to find someone, something, you do, often in my line of work, you start at the bar. Private detectives only deal with cold hearts. And that brings me to reason number 2. Being surrounded by ponies with cold hearts makes it easier to hide amongst them. In my dreams, my mother, chosen, rest her soul, loves to remind me, Arya Moon, she says, your heart is the coldest of them all. And she's right. Even in dreams, my mom's always right.
To be about 20% cooler.
I've got a cold, cold heart, and nothing could make me happier than knowing that.
Morning, Vienna.
What are you reading?
Oh, first draft of the last Arya Moon book I was writing.
Oh, you never let me read that one.
Yeah, 'cause it's awful, Clover.
Your work is never awful.
Tell that to Stablebird and, oh, I'm a mama now.
All right, those are just terrible.
Like all of my new work.
No, you just need to find something you're passionate about writing. That's all. You shouldn't have stopped writing Arya Moon. She had a few great stories left in her.
Arya drained me too much. She was too personal.
So you're content with not being content.
That's a writer's life, Clover. Never be satisfied with your work.
That's not what's happening to you right now, and you know it. You're grinding. You've been grinding for years, churning out flop after flop.
Yeah, well, that's what you're here for. You're meant to write the good stuff. My books are normally a hoof reach away from the toilet.
It wasn't always like that.
Yeah, well, it's like that now.
I'm going to the service. You coming?
You ask me that every week. Every week. What do I say?
Yeah, well, it was worth a try.
Why did you come here, Clover?
I was pathing through and heard you reading through the walls. Why are you recording yourself reading Arya Moon?
So I can listen to it later. What can I say? I like the sound of my own voice.
You know, you could always write a story about the chosen soul.
That nonsense.
Hey, it ain't nonsense. Revered Callisteg and his chapel have given this stable more hope than any of our books.
There's something to be said for that. But after, what, 150 years, you still haven't found your chosen one yet?
The way I see it, it's not finding the chosen soul that's going to make us happy. It's the search that breeds hope, that brings light to our hearts.
The only place more likely to bring warmth to a cold heart than a bar is a chapel. And yet so many stray to the bar.
Hey, not a bad line.
Not a great one either.
Yeah, keep working on it, Vienna. Like you always taught me.
Keep working on it.
Clearly, that was a waste of our time. I might suggest that...
Find one of Vienna's childhood logs.
Excuse me?
Find one of her early logs.
This will not shed light on the progress of the stable's experiment.
Just humor me.
Very well.
Hey there, Terminal. I'm not sure, Mom!
Yes, dear?
What am I supposed to do?
Just talk about your day, dear.
Okay, my day was kind of weird. Mom told me that at a certain age, we all have to start making audio recordings. She says it's what the Overmare wants every pony to do. This is pretty weird. So, my day... Well, I woke up.
Go to the next log she made.
Analyst, I do not see the
Please.
Try to leave the recording on and do what feels natural to you, sweetie.
But it's so dumb.
Come on, let's go get the sewing machine out. Leave the recording on and we'll do what we normally do.
All right then.
There you go, dear. Feel better?
Yeah, this always helps.
You're so talented. Maybe we should send you to cross stitch for lessons.
Really? That'd be awesome. I love fixing clothes. And cross stitch makes the prettiest ones.
They are quite nice for alterations to the Stable Tech jumpsuit.
I just had the best day. Cross stitch is really nice, and I learned so much. He says one day I could make stable fashion too if I work hard enough. Oh, and he gave me this book to read. I saw it in his bookshelf and it looked interesting, so he said I could borrow it. It's about a detective who lived before the war on the surface. The Adventures of Mayor Malone. So cool. I just finished my book, and it was so good. Mayor Malone is just a smart pony, and she can always tell when some pony is lying and nothing escapes her. And she has a really big frizzy mane, which sounds super pretty. And she doesn't use a gun because she thinks killing is wrong, so she always tries to bring the bad guys home peacefully. And she has this partner who used to be a master thief, and now he's a detective, and they work together to save the mayor, and oh, it's just so cool!
Good morning, V. Oh, you're awake. Vienna, have you been up all night?
No.
What were you doing all night?
I was reading this book that I got from Cross Stitch. It's a detective book, and it's about this mayor who solves crimes, and...
All right. It's a good thing you've been reading more. It's not the worst thing a filly could be doing. Just don't forget to sleep.
Bob, could I sleep in?
You can sleep for an hour.
But, Mom...
That's what happens when you read all night, dear.
So, I've been thinking. It's been about a month, and I've been learning from Cross Stitch. I mean, I still love fashion and sewing. It's so much fun, and Cross is great. But I don't want... That is... I mean, why is this so hard? You're just a stupid terminal. You can't judge me. I don't want to be a seamstress. I want to write a book, like Mayor Malone. It'll be so cool. And I've already written the first chapter. I mean, it kind of sucks and it's silly, but it was so much more fun to do. I need to tell my mom.
The following clip takes place 5 years later.
There's no sound better in all the world than the sound of moaning. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about the song, Moanin'. There's no slow build-up with it. Instead, it just jumps straight for the throat with the sax solo that the goddess herself must have made possible. There's no room for ifs and maybes with that song. It don't compromise. It don't show you any friggin' mercy. That's the way it's gotta be for gals like me. That's the way it's gotta be for guys like you, Cobalt. That's the life we've chosen after all. You killed your wife, and nothing you do is gonna stop me from making you pay. You can try to fight me, but you're gonna lose. You can run, but I'm gonna find you. And I think you know that, don't you? So, I'm gonna finish my drink, and when the glass goes back onto the counter, you're gonna have your hooves right next to it, so I can put my cuffs on them. If they aren't on the counter by the time I finish my drink, this night's gonna turn ugly.
Damn, Vienna! That's some hardcore shit right there. Aria Moon is badass.
You could have waited till we were playing a more upbeat song to read that to us, though.
They don't play upbeat songs in this bar, Pickett.
Take it easy on her, Vienna. She's new.
Right. Sorry. So, you like the piece then?
Damn right I do. Oh, and right on cue, there's Calistache.
Oh, Weevil's got a date with the Revered's daughter.
Ah, shut up, Vienna. Besides, your climax is still a little weak.
Oi! This book's climax is perfect.
Who said I was talking about the book?
You dirty fucker.
See ya.
You and Weevil known each other for a long time then?
You could say that. I started hanging around him and his mates during school so I could research the stable's misfits for Aria Moon. It's been a few years, but I'm finally ready to publish this beast.
And you and you're together?
Hey, clean your ears out. He just said he had a date with Calistache.
But what he just said to you,
Nah, no, it's a joke. It can be like that sometimes. Weevil and I are just...
Hey, I was listening to that.
Enough of this distraction, analyst. Please return to the focus of your assignment.
All right, but we're coming back to this later. How many terminal entries were flagged by analysts within a similar time frame as this recording?
Few. The closest is 1 year after the log you just listened to.
All right, what's the state of the stable?
Well, the church remained in a state of peace for a long time. However, a sudden wave of accidents caught the eye of another analyst.
Accidents?
Indeed. Naturally, they were more than just simple accidents.
All right, roll the clip.
In the name of the chosen soul, I greet you. Good morning, ponies. As always, the sermon will be recorded and broadcast across the stable.
We begin by reading the tale of the revered Ethios.
And it was that the voice of the omnipresent spoke to us, her words marking the birth of our order, even if we did not yet know it.
It was said that our world in the above on the surface was corrupt, led by whores and the godless. Our ancestors raised their royalty to godhood, and now we are being punished for their transgressions. Beware, beware the wrath of the chosen soul.
It was revered Ethos, the first leader of our faith, who saw the truth, after the voice told us we were to remain in this prison until the chosen soul had arrived, and the revered began the search for the incarnate God, the chosen soul.
We read the words of the revered Ethos. It was thought that before that a pony could never be inhabited by a celestial form. But these are the terms for our release. And so we shall begin in the search. The seekers of the chosen shall be known as the revered, and they hold authority, overshadowed only by the overmare. This is how we shall achieve peace.
My daughter Callistine will now lead us in song.
Our stable did in chaos lie, till the wise revered did raise the cry. Peace and order from chaos shall rise at the hands of his servants. The chosen soul shall guide. The chosen soul shall save. We are the chosen. We stand now, bond by unity, our strength poured out for gods to see. Peace and order from chaos shall rise at the hands of his servants. The chosen soul shall lead. The chosen soul shall teach. We are the chosen.
Thank you. We now read from Journal of the Faithful, Script 7, Coming of the Dwemenman. It was on the 17th hour, the end of my God shift, when the heretics came. Word had spread of a protest. Word had spread that ponies were going to attack the stable door. We were prepared to suppress them. What we were not prepared for was the device they wielded, which deactivated the lights and the security cameras. Our torches were cut, and they were left standing within the hatred-fueled firelight that lit their torches. Indeed, I believed it was the end of us all as we opened fire upon them, unleashing a tidal wave of metal into their bodies, and yet they continued to come. The violence continued for another 15 seconds until the voice arose. It lifted itself high and clear above the bullets and the screams. It called, "Stop this insanity!" Such was the authority of the voice that our weapons ceased fire as if by their own volition. There was silence as the crowds lay on the floor, hardly moving. Over their bodies strode a pony glowing with an ethereal light. He raised up a drawing of a ram's horn, and he cried out, "The gods have spoken to me! They have sent me this image, an image of strength in humility. The Overmare's power has led to death. It has brought shame and violence to our stable. I demand she cease." We thought the stallion insane. Indeed, he was impressive, but he could not force such change within the stable with mere words. And so we took him into custody, threw him into a prison cell, and were about to leave when we heard him speak again. "None shall be dead upon this day. It is my will." When we returned to clean the mess at the stable's entrance, we found not a single corpse. Every pony we had shot suffered horrible wounds, but none were fatal. I believe in the pony, the herald of the gods who has led us to the chosen soul. I believe in the herald who has named himself Dwemenman.
And now we must discuss an important matter.
This is the largest congregation we have had in many years. I understand that the rise in death by accident has troubled many of you, and the stable guard are investigating the possibility that this may be more than a mere accident. And in times of crisis, it is natural to come to seek the aid of a higher power. After all, is comfort not what we are here for?
All right, I think I've had enough of the sermon. Can you skip ahead slightly?
Callistes was highlighted as a pony of interest. Would you like me to shift focus to her?
All right, fine.
Callie! Callie!
Weevil? Stable guard let you out of lockup?
Just for the service. I'm going back into the cell now.
We broadcast all over the stable. You can hear the sermon from your cell, Weevil. So why are you really here?
Yeah, that. Well, see, I got hooked for stealing a pip bug. But since I was over at your place at the time of the theft, I'm curious as to why they think it was me.
Weevil, you don't exactly have the best reputation in the stable.
They told me you refused to comment one way or the other on my alibi.
I didn't want to get involved.
See, I think someone set me up. I think it was some pony who knows I have dirt on her.
I don't think you have the credibility to rat on whichever pony you think you have dirt on. Not anymore, at least.
Callistes, this isn't...
So, how's Vienna?
Excuse... What? What does she have to do with any of this?
You've been spending time with her.
Yeah, research for her books.
Ha! Have you ever actually read an Ariamone book? Have you even read a book before?
Stay away from Vienna. She has nothing to do with this. With us.
Enjoy prison, Weevil.
So, that's the state of the stable.
A fascinating development indeed. With their gods taken from them and a prophetic instruction delivered to them by a mysterious voice, they have created their own faith.
Well, I suppose this is less sick than tricking ponies into suicide-inducing migraines.
What was that, analyst?
Nothing. This is still in the past, right? The Vienna they mentioned there is younger than the one in the first audio log we listened to?
That is correct.
Right. Just keeping my head straight. All right, I'm taking a break, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Very well. Please return within the hour to continue.